going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him, beat him, and fled, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down their road. When he saw him, he passed by on the other side. In the same way, a Levite, when he arrived at the place and saw him, passed by on the other side.
In every economy, in every industry, in your company, there's a road of some kind where somebody is waiting for mercy to show up in some way. Zaneta, we're excited to hear your story, and I want to start by just, before you started Access Mode, tell us a little bit about the road that you were walking on. What was that like? What were you doing?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I had just taken 2 detours. I started my journey wanting to be in corporate America, and I had just left corporate. And prior to that, I was living my parents' wildest dreams, my parents being descendants of slaves here in the U.S. in the South, and moving to the D.C. area to create a new life for, D.C., whoever did that. Created a new life for their family right after the civil rights era. And they raised me to think of Christian values, godliness, and being in the DC area, capitalistic hustle. Mm-hmm. So I did that. I lived their dreams. I went and got a degree in computer information systems, Christian values, corporate hustle, and then I went and got a master's degree in Christian counseling from seminary. That kind of balance between Christian values and corporate capitalistic hustle continued for quite some time. I worked at startups in tech. I worked at large companies like Gateway and IBM, and really got a good understanding before the dot-com bubble of what technology looks like in America and how to make money doing it. I wound up leaving corporate after quite some time. My last role, I ascended to executive boardroom and was leading global teams across the US and beyond. And I kept looking around the tables, and I didn't see God, and I didn't see representation. And there was this absence was getting louder and louder, that there were people making decisions about tech products that affect all of our lives. If you look on the Fortune 100 list, more than half of the people there have made their fortune from tech. If you look on the Fortune 100 list, you don't see a lot of representation of people that come from communities like mine. And so decisions were being made that affected people all across the globe from every type of community, but didn't reflect those people. And that absence was quite stark. And so at some point, I decided, I really don't want to be here anymore. I want to do something different. And at this time, Derek and I had moved to Colorado for him and I to both help with the church plant. He had gone to seminary, and I was in a new space in Colorado wanting to make a difference, and I wanted to bloom where I was planted. At that time, Governor Polis asked if I would join a new entity that was started up to help get funds to the small businesses in our state who needed it most during the pandemic. And I was excited about that. I began to learn very quickly that not just in corporate America do these issues exist, but they really exist in the startup and small business ecosystem. And I was asked to kind of look after those who were the most overlooked in those systems, in that ecosystem. And it was very, very hard to witness that the lack of resources. So that absence in the corporate boardroom was the same absence I was experiencing in small business and startup. And that's when I knew something had to change. And I looked across the road, and that's when I met my co-founder.
Awesome. Okay, so you were noticing an issue, and maybe some other people were noticing too, but you kind of stopped and saw it and decided, I want to do something different.
Yeah, I did.
That's right.
I couldn't help but to stop. And his story blew me away. Well, first of all, we're from the same area, Washington, D.C. area, and he had moved his family out here. He went to an Ivy League school he went to Wharton, got an MBA. Got a law degree. He has two exits. Two exits. That's a big deal for anybody, but especially for a guy from Montgomery County. And he had moved out here to Colorado to start his third. Colorado is notorious for this term, give first. Up in Boulder, that's what folks talk about. That's where Techstars was birthed, which is the largest global tech ecosystem, accelerator company in the world. And Kevin moved here and couldn't get any traction, any help. And it was shocking to me to hear his story. And I decided, beyond what I had thought I was going to do when I left the large corporation I was working, I thought I would just start my own thing and get that going, and I had. And I realized if he was having that problem, what else was happening to those who didn't have the same background, pedigree, and opportunities that he had? And so I knew that I needed to cross the road.
Awesome. All right, Derek.
But a Samaritan on his journey came up to him. And when he saw the man, he had compassion.
Okay, so Zaneta, you kind of noticed a place you could extend mercy. When did that move from like noticing it to like you wanted to do something?
Yeah, being raised in a Christian home, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for my mom and my dad and their story and their desire to implant values into myself and my brothers. And God's voice was so loud to me, Ross. It was so loud. And all I kept hearing was, to whom much is given, much is required. I have been given so many opportunities by God. His hand of mercy has truly been upon me my entire life. I should not be here. I joke with my husband, and I say, I'm just Zaneta from the block. And he laughs because he's like, you're from PG County. You grew up in such a cushy way. That's ridiculous.
He's cracking up.
I'm sure he is. But I've been given so many opportunities. Growing up in DC, I saw so much, so many doors were open for me. My education, the mentor support that I have, the connections that I've been able to make, it's all from God. And I'm grateful. And the Lord has shown me that in this context, He wants me to give it all away. At our church, He wants me to give it all away. In our neighborhood, He wants me to give it all away. And that's what I aim to do, is give everything He's shown me, give it away.
Yeah, awesome. Was there a moment when you felt like, well, maybe I'll just stay comfortable?
Absolutely.
All right.
I love to travel. I love the beach. You know what we don't have here?
The beach.
Palm trees, beaches, humidity.
I'm thankful.
It's good for my skin. I love those things. But you know what I love more? I love the Lord more. And I love His kingdom more. And I love what He's doing right here in Colorado more. And my thought in that is, I could retreat back to what I was doing before. But you know what? What I mentioned, He wasn't in those boardrooms He was with me, but the culture was not of Him. It's not of Him in this space that I'm in right now. And so I could go back, but why?
Yeah, so you chose to build.
I chose to build. And, really it's off of Kevin's story. I looked at what he needed and I started going around and interviewing different founders who had been overlooked and asking them, what do you need? And more than anything else, they said access. And I knew that I could help them gain that access. What I realized is the model that was built up in Techstars, it's an awesome model. Like, I just applaud David Cohen and all those guys. Like, they have been incredibly helpful to me. They said, why don't you come into Techstars as a nonprofit? And why don't you learn from us and take this blueprint? And then not only did they give me access, give me the blueprint, but they also gave me funding and have continued to help fund in some part the mission that we have. And we then took that information that I interviewed these founders who didn't have support, looked at Techstars playbook and said, there's some gaps here that these folks that are coming into our community that need access to different things than people that go into Techstars. And we're at a little bit earlier stage. Like, my desire is to take anyone who has been given a God-given right to think and think about flourishing and solve big problems with technology and open the door wide open for them. Just give them a shot. Now, we know with tech, not everything's going to move forward. Not everything is meant to push forward. But I think what's meant to push forward is everyone's idea up until they cannot. And that's what I want to help with. And so that's what we've built, a nonprofit tech accelerator where we continue to advance as many people as we can that have great ideas. And actually, I know at least one of them is in the room. I didn't anticipate that he was here, so that's really cool.
Well, let's go back to Derek's story.
He went over to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on olive oil and wine. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, take care of him. When I come back, I'll reimburse you for whatever extra you spend.
So that's what this part of the story where we said earlier that mercy entered commerce. Zaneta, talk to us a little bit about the cost. What has this idea of you extending mercy in this way cost you? And maybe was there even a night where you thought, I think I miscalculated this?
Absolutely. We built something really phenomenal with Access Mode, and I don't say that patting myself on the back. It's all the Lord's. He's been behind it. We built a brand, a name. There are people traveling from outside of Colorado in different wonderful places that are part of our accelerator model, that come for our workshops, that come for our conferences, which is really, really cool. But even despite us doing that and traveling nationally, being asked to go on Capitol Hill and share things with our legislature at the federal level about things that we're doing and still the needs that exist, there was an open RFP from a municipality and doing the exact work that we do. And the contract was given to another organization that has no record of demonstrating help to the type of people that the contract was built for. And it was so humbling for me to experience the exact same things that I'm trying to bring our founders out of.
Yeah, that's tough. Well, tell us a story from Access Mode about a founder.
Yeah. Her name is Patsy. She's a believer. She's here in Colorado. She's phenomenal. She was in the energy sector. And before we started Access Mode, when I was going around talking to various different folks, she was one of the people that I remember the day that we had lunch, and she and I had met doing the Colorado Governor's Fellowship. And she said, I'm trying to build this sustainable technology company that goes into corporations and helps them manage their energy so that we can make sure that we steward God's earth well. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I was like, well, what do you need? How can we help? And we really built it around her story. All of the parts and pieces that she needed. And I'm just so proud of her. She was a part of our first cohort. We provided her with mentoring, with resources, a $20,000 grant to help her build her initial MVP. And that was in 2022 that she started that. And I'm proud to say that Patsy is still building and growing her company, has 2 paid pilots, which are long sales cycles for the type of work that she does, and getting 2 paid pilots that are taking care of she and her team and growing even further. It's pretty phenomenal. The beginning story for her, she couldn't have that access. She didn't have that access. And we met her where she was, helped to journey with her, helped to get her the resources and the connections that she needed. And she's soaring, and God is blessing all that she's doing.
Awesome. Well, it's really fun to hear how this is playing out, and hopefully you guys are seeing the parallels in the stories. So, Derek, would you read the rest of the story for us?
Which of these 3 do you think proved to be a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers? The one who showed mercy to him, he said. Then Jesus told him, go and do the same.
What we hope you guys hear is these 2 parallel stories of Zaneta starting something because she noticed a need and took some risks and moved toward the cost and decided to enter into that and really be kind of like a modern day Good Samaritan story. We've also talked about how we all recognize that we are in need of mercy from Jesus. You talked about that as well. And we just want to draw these parallels out. Hopefully you guys have heard that throughout the day. You've seen business practices. You've hopefully been inspired and challenged in those ways. Zaneta, if you could just give one thing that you would encourage or say to us, having all the experiences you've had, and building this thing to help others, what would you want to say to the room?
Be obedient to what God is calling us to do. People need it. Cross the street. Go and do likewise.
Awesome. Go and do likewise. And if you didn't catch it, Derek is married to Zaneta, reading the story in the background. So Derek, thank you so much. Zaneta, thank you so much. Appreciate it.